things in the sports world get weirder and weirder by the day, and today was no different as 45-year-old Tom Brady announces his retirement from the NFL once again via an Instagram video. But Nick, this time in his retirement video, he said, "For good." What were your thoughts when you saw this video today?
I thought he actually meant it this time because, or at least I had more of a reason to believe it because he said "for good." So it's kind of like he said, "I know I did this last year, but this time I mean it." There was obviously a lot of speculation. None of this is really surprising to anybody. I would find it a little hard to believe, although I wouldn't put it past him, that he would then come back again after saying, "This time I mean it for good." I mean, like, I don't think if he really didn't want to retire this time around, I think he probably would have just not retired. And at this point, he was probably like, "I'm just done," because he's just not that good anymore. And he'd rather go out on a little bit more of a high note than be really bad.
Well, this year he was eliminated. Him and his Buccaneers were eliminated in the wild card round by the Dallas Cowboys. So as of now, and potentially for good, this could be Brady's last game as an NFL player. It's definitely a lot of people are happy that he's gone, but a lot of people are also sad. And I think for you and Nick, for me and you, Nick, being around the same age, I know you're a Jets fan as much as you like Tom Brady. It is sad because it's a generation of quarterbacks are now all gone. Like that generation of quarterbacks we grew up with is no more. So, I mean, today really is a monumental day.
Aaron Rodgers is still around. He's the only one.
He's the only one. And even then, him and Matt Ryan technically started playing the same year because remember, Rodgers sat behind Favre for 3 years. So realistically, the longest tenured starting quarterbacks at this point are from 2008.
Yeah.
So we were already teenagers by that point or close to it.
I wasn't.
Or close to, we're in the same age range. All right, Nick, trying to give away my age there. I see it. But we'll go over Brady's career in just a second. Want to pin a couple comments to interact with the viewers. And Nick, I see a couple big fans of ours already chiming in. Garth saying, "Woo!" Also says, "The two goats live here." Ladies and gents, that's right. You might be seeing a little bit more of Nick DiMartino on Briefing Preview moving forward. Noah says, "Interested to hear Nick's quote-unquote thoughts on this. A GOAT discussing another GOAT. Never say never, but I think this one seems a lot more convincing. Last time it kind of felt like most people knew he would at least consider coming back. Doesn't feel the same this time." And Nick, I do agree with this comment because obviously last year you had the divorce that was going on for him between him and Giselle. And then, of course, Schefter leaking the news. I believe it was Schefter before it came out. And, that could have potentially motivated him to come back to get his mind off of the personal life and that aspect of things. But I do agree. This time it seems real. He made this decision on his own.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would find it, like I said, I would find it a little hard to believe that he would do the same thing the second year in a row right after the season ended. If he really wanted to come back, you'd think he would learn. And just not make an announcement like that. Yeah, that's obviously true. And the thing is, I don't know how the rest of the offseason is going to be and but it is worth noting that last year, the entire sports media thought he was coming back. I mean, don't forget, after he retired and before he announced he was coming back, there was a lot of speculation that the Niners were going to get him. And nobody said, "Wait, Brady's retired." I feel like people didn't actually believe Brady legitimately retired last year. Especially like when you looked at the statement, he kind of suggested that he might come back. Like it just wasn't very convincing last year that he actually wanted to retire. And I mean, I think this time he's probably just not going to come back. It just seems most likely that that's the case, especially because he can be a broadcaster now, and which is a hell of a lot easier than actually playing in the NFL.
And he's got a 10-year contract waiting for him at Fox Sports. So Noah agrees with you. He says it was like we were just waiting for him to announce he was coming back last time. Yeah, that only lasted 40 days. And what's crazy about today?
Yeah, it's like he gave up football
he
for
announced it this morning. Yeah, essentially,
basically.
That's what he did. It's crazy. A year ago to this date was when he announced his retirement last year. It was February 1st, 2022. He announced his first retirement, unretires 40 days later. 365 days later, February 1st, 2023, announces his retirement for the second and likely the final time. 23-year career that spanned across predominantly the New England Patriots and 3 decades, really. He was 45. He always mentioned he wanted to play till he was 45. So it was weird. Last year when he was 44 and he left, I had a feeling something was up, that he wanted to go at least one more year. 7 Super Bowl, 6 with the Patriots. He's a 5-time Super Bowl MVP. Ended his NFL career as the leading passer in yards with over 89,000, 649 touchdowns, 3-time league MVP. I mean, his accolades speak for themselves. You know, the players he put on the map: Julian Edelman, Deion Branch, Jabbar Gaffney, Wes Welker. Nick, those receivers that were unknowns, it seems like once they joined forces with Tom Brady, he made people around him better. And I think his ability to develop chemistry with his teammates, take the necessary pay cuts to help, you know, championship teams win, or what a leader doesn't. As much as, you know, you or I may not like the guy for winning so much, he was excellent at what he did, and he was undoubtedly the best NFL player of all time.
Well, I mean, me and you have opposite relationships with Brady. I mean, me and you kind of hate him for the opposite reasons. In fact, you don't really have any reason to hate Brady. I mean,
I don't.
The Giants and Patriots aren't divisional rivals or anything like that. You just played him in the Super Bowl and beat him twice. So there's really no reason for you to even hate him. Like, Jet fans all obviously hate Brady.
Don't, no.
Yeah, there's legit no reason. So let's not pretend that me and you have the same relationship with Brady, because they're basically polar opposites. We don't.
Yeah, you dislike Brady.
Yeah,
but
very different.
But we both respect his greatness at the end of the day. Of
course. Like, I'm not going to pretend Brady isn't like the greatest of all time. Like, I'm not going to pretend I wouldn't rather have Brady than any other quarterback in history.
Right.
For numerous different reasons. One of them obviously would be the longevity aspect of it. I mean, how many, like, this year he obviously wasn't good, but how many quarterbacks at 44 could have, even now, even in modern terms, could ever have been at the top of the game? I mean, nobody. Peyton Manning was, I think, I could be wrong, he was like 40 his last year,
around that age,
or 39 or 40, and he was horrible, like worse than Brady was this year. And like, Brady's so much older now than Peyton Manning was then, but it seemed like he was so much younger. So, and even Peyton Manning by quarterback standards was very old then. So just longevity alone, and also obviously his ability to win, and his amazing ability to make wide receivers who otherwise weren't well known to become like stars. And I really do think Brady helped, Belichick too, but Brady helped make them stars. I mean, just those things alone, I think would make Brady the greatest of all time. And just the fact that I don't like him doesn't change that. I mean, those two things have nothing to do with each other.
Mike DeSanta, what's up, Mike? Co-host of our wrestling show, Four Corners, Monday nights at 7. You can check that out here on the Review Preview Sports Network. He says Eli threatened to come out of retirement if Brady didn't. Mike with the humor. Yeah. Look, Eli is Brady's dad. In football terms, you know, those 2 Super Bowls. Nick mentioned how I have no reason to hate Brady. In fact, I'll openly admit I rooted for Brady in every Super Bowl that he did not play against the Giants in after we beat them twice, because I don't want anybody else to have that claim to fame that, oh, we beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl too. Unfortunately, Philadelphia has that, but Philly also lost to Brady in a Super Bowl that we did not ever do. Not to make this about the Giants, Nick, but, you know, the conversation was probably going to stem in this direction just a little bit for a few brief moments. But back to Brady. This season was a struggle for him. We saw the mental stuff that was going on. We knew something wasn't right in the first half of the season. I think luckily for him and the Bucs, the division was a shit show. You know,
Obviously.
we saw a head coach get fired within the first few weeks of the season. We saw quarterback change in Atlanta. The New Orleans Saints were a mess. So Brady, again, on his best year statistically, still managed to finish top 3 in the NFL in passing with over 4,600 yards. In fact, almost 4,700 yards. Third in the league, and then 25 touchdown passes. So a lot happened for him. As far as this season went, I think maybe you saw a slight decline in some aspects, but I mean, Father of Time is undefeated. Let's be real. At 45 years old, I mean, the fact that he was still able to do that is incredible. You know,
Right.
It sucks his 13-year marriage ended, and you know, I wish him the best moving forward with that. You know, I hope he can get his personal life back on track. Yeah, man, 10 years, 375 million as a Fox Sports analyst. That would be an incredible feat for him. Just continues to get paid to do what he loves, you know?
Yeah.
You can't argue with that. It's a great life.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Father Time is undefeated, but Tom Brady came the closest to defeating Father Time. I would say is the best way to put it. And that's not even just true of football. I mean, if you
for a while, Nick,
if you think about it, that's just true of sports in general. How many other athletes have ever been able to do what Brady's been doing for at this level until they were 45?
Right. I can't recall many. Julio Franco for the Mets.
Yeah. He only won, but Julio Franco was barely in the lineup.
Kickers, you know, Vinatieri, Morton Anderson. Those are like the rare exceptions.
That's different.
I think the way he conditioned himself to Brady was very underrated. And, you know, I think, and the last point on Brady here, Nick, unless you had anything else, he emulates the true underdog, right? He was drafted in the 6th round, 199th overall in the 2000 NFL draft. They said his accuracy was poor. His arm strength wasn't great. He was likely to be a career-long backup. He defied the odds. Drew Bledsoe got hurt. And he proved all those scouts wrong. I think the underdog story, I think, is really what attracted me, because obviously he became a favorite very quickly. And I think that's what got a lot of people to root against him. In fact, being from New England as well didn't help. I think when he moved to Tampa Bay, his last 3 years, I think more people were able to like him now that he played for a different team. But I think, Nick, the underdog story in sports is very underestimated, especially with a player like Tom Brady, because people seem to forget he was not supposed to be this good. There was maybe a 0.0001% chance Brady would last past, 5 to 7 years in the NFL as a, consistent player. And the fact that he did is remarkable. And I think that's part of the reason why, too, he's the greatest of all time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, it's a great story. I don't think that has any, whether Brady was a favorite or whether he was a 1st-round pick or a 6th-round pick, I don't think it would have mattered in terms of I don't think that has anything to do with how amazing of a player he was. But I do think it does tell you how little the experts actually know in the NFL draft about these players. If Brady, who was a pretty random player at the time, and it's not even like the Patriots were geniuses, and it's like nobody knew anything, and he just happened to be that great. I think that's one of the most telling things about what happened with Brady. And also, you also have to remember, I think that being a great quarterback in college doesn't always correlate to being great in the NFL. I mean, obviously, sometimes it does. You have amazing players, but players who are amazing in college and also amazing in the NFL, but it doesn't always correlate that much. And nobody really could know that much about anything. It's just, I'm sure though that there was 1 or 2 Michigan fans out there who was like, Tom Brady is going to be amazing. And how could you only take him in the 6th round? Because I know that there were some Michigan fans like that at the time who were like, I've been telling you, Brady is going to be amazing.
Absolutely. And when Brady was drafted, you were what? You were toddler, right? I was 5 when he was drafted. Now I'm 27. Like
so 3, I think. Yeah, I must have been 3 years old.
Yeah. And actually, I wasn't even 5 yet because it was April of 2000. Yeah, I was still 4. Like yeah. Incredible growing up with this guy.
So I basically have no recollection of football without Brady.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think that's how I wanted to wrap up this segment. Rivers, Roethlisberger, and Eli, part of that '04 class, all gone, retired before Tom Brady. Drew Brees, 2001 draft class, retired before Tom Brady. Peyton Manning, 1998 was the first to go in 2015, obviously, because he was the elder of those 5 or 6, I should say. But the 2 Mannings, Brees, Big Ben, Rivers, Brady, Nick, the entire generation is gone. Now we're looking at these. Yeah. I'll give you that. You know what? I'll be nice. I'll give you that. Ryan is on his last leg. I don't even know if he starts next year. I know Flacco's still around, but he's a backup now for you guys. And then you have Stafford, who's coming off that injury. So, I mean, other than that, we can't really say much anymore. Yeah. It is sad to a degree, and it shows our age a little bit, you know?
Well, I mean, you think how we feel like, older generations felt that way many times over.
Absolutely. But clear first ballot Hall of Famer in 5 years. Congratulations on your retirement, Tom Brady. And we wish Tom nothing but the best.